I don't eat in the car, things when my kids want to eat in the car. That to me takes the mindfulness away of like the ritual of eating. But it's really about like when it comes to like healthy habits, it's the presence that I think builds the healthy habit. A lot of us don't have the luxury of unlimited time to do all the things, but I think we can all sort of find a few minutes a day, a non-negotiable time to give that to yourself because we deserve it.
Hey, Hill Squad, welcome back to part two of my conversation with Nicole Kashishian, the woman behind the popular Instagram account and digital platform Kale Junkie. Just want to make sure that you guys are aware that this episode includes discussions about body image, eating disorders, and struggles with food addiction. And be sure to check out our first chat where she opened up about her body image struggles and how she began her healing journey with food. But right now she's opening up about how she's using her creativity to help heal herself and others, how meditation and yoga techniques can help mindful eating, and she's giving Kevin and I some cooking tips and tricks. All right, squad, let's dive in. So, Nicole, before we get into all of that, in part one of the other areas that I really was interested for the Heal Squad, because I do know that there's so many on the journey right now that are kind of waking up and realizing, I didn't do what I really wanted to do in life. And how do I re-steer this ship to what I really want? So, my first question is, at what age did you identify, okay, this isn't for me. I'm going to start kind of doing this as a side hustle and see what happens?
Yeah, so great question. So, when I was in law school, I realized I'm like, I love learning and I love law, but I don't know that this is what I want uh, my career to be long term. But I also knew in my mind, and I think this is something that is really important, is that anything that you're doing in your career, no matter where you're working, what you're studying, everything that you learn along the way has some type of transferable skill set that will carry you into ultimately what you want to do in life. So I think when I had identified as I was healing my own relationship with food and that I wanted to do something in the health and wellness space, I didn't know quite what that would be or how that would look. I remember feeling very stuck. So as part of my journey in therapy, I remember feeling stuck. I'm like, all I have is a law degree. I'm over $100,000 in debt from law school. I'm working in a big law firm, but paying off these loans, feeling very stuck. So I think the first thing is really about taking what you're doing now and listing out what those skills that you have from the job that you're in or the career that you're in, and also lining those up with what you're really passionate about. So for me, it was in the health and wellness space. So I created my Instagram account as I was healing as a hobby, just finding so practicing law, not being so happy with that, but having a little hobby on the side, which was kind of like filling a little cup of mine and being creative and doing something other than law. So
How
using
old
some,
were you then?
yeah, so this was, God, I was like in my early 30s. So I didn't change careers until, you know, uh, as I was, yeah, I had my first son at 30, 33. So, this was around that age, and, yeah,
Did
practice
you call it Kale Junkie then?
I did. I won't no, I actually called the day one, it was called oh my gosh, it's embarrassing. I called it, like, Marin because I live in Marin Veganista because I thought I was, like, eating, like, vegan foods all the time. I don't know what I was thinking. It was em
I mean, but I think it's
I don't
interesting for
know.
people to hear, like, you don't have to have it right away. Like,
You
it can
don't, and I
become
think
right.
and there's something fun about, like, I never started the Instagram as thinking that it would become a career. I was just trying to find something to do other than law that was a hobby and that was a passion project. So I think when you find something that you're passionate about, see if you can translate that into some type of hobby, and then kind of get your wheels turning about, like, how can I turn this into a business? Am I really passionate about it? It took me a long time to be able to like turn this passion, this little hobby where I'm just posting photos of food and creating recipes into a business. So I mean, I was doing it. I've been doing this for my son when yeah, so almost 10 years now, but it wasn't I was doing it as a hobby for a couple of years before it was able to turn into something to monetize.
Well, and
So,
it also sounds like you were doing it during a time when you had kids, you ended up going through a divorce, and you were
yeah,
getting healthy.
exactly. All the things were happening at once, and when I go back to the part in the beginning about, like, knowing that, like, your skill set, no matter what it is gonna be helpful in life, it is. So for once I was able to turn this into a business, I was able to use my law degree and a lot of the negotiation skills and analytical skills and problem-solving skills to, like, I was doing all my own contracts. I was doing running the business side of Kale Junkie too, in addition to, like, being the creative person coming up, developing recipes in the kitchen, and posting the content and editing and kind of teaching myself as I go. So I do think that there is a lot of power in whatever you do now. I think we feel so stuck that what we're doing now is not relevant or never going to be useful or helpful to us in life, but knowing that it will always come back in a different way. And also, I always tell people that be really, even if your current career, your current job isn't your end all be all, be as good at it as you possibly can, so that if for some reason you try something new, you try a new business venture, you give it a go, it doesn't turn out the way that you want, you always have that a good solid foundation of something to fall back on, because I think that's really important. We think that we have to make this leap, and if it doesn't work, then what? It will take some of that fear away of trying something new if you know that, like, you have something you can always go back on. So be as marketable as you can, educate yourself, make yourself of service in different ways in your role, so that if for some reason you try something and either it doesn't work out on the business side or you later find out it's not your passion, you can pivot and reinvent yourself so many times in your life if you give your 100% to being really good at what you're at. So I knew that if I try Kale Junkie and give it a year and I'm posting on Instagram and I'm like, either I can't turn it into a business or I'm not having fun with it anymore, because fun is a really, I think is a big part of like what we do. I think gone are the days where you go to work, you make a living, you have to find some type of joy in what you do every day waking up, so that you can be the best employee that you can be. You can be the best mom, partner, spouse, all of the things, if you are enjoying what you do in your day-to-day career. So yeah, so I think just honing your own skill set, and potentially, if you're not really sure what it is you want to pivot into, but you know that you're unhappy in what you're doing now, I do think it's a worthwhile investment to hire a business coach, just somebody that's going to help you identify where are your strengths, what, like, because sometimes I think we don't really know what they are until somebody pulls those things out of us. You
Mhm.
go through the exercises of, like, do you enjoy X? Do you enjoy this? What, like, to help guide you and shape you and find those, like, areas of opportunity and what are your passion and kind of give you that direction. For me, I was so passionate about helping and being an inspiration to other people that I knew what I wanted to do, and I was passionate about y- you know, turning this addiction for food that I have and moving that into the kitchen and using my time in the kitchen as my therapy. So I put on music to develop recipes. I would sit there, I would, I bought all of the healthy ingredient swaps, for example. So instead of using white flour, I started buying oat flour, coconut flour, almond flour, instead of buying white sugar, refined sugar, which I knew was a trigger mentally for me. Coconut sugar, maple syrup, honey, practicing and experimenting became my meditation and my therapy in the kitchen to
Mm.
heal. So trying to, once you figure out what you're passionate about, really spending time developing your skill, and yeah. Yeah.
So, how do you feel people can use their creativity to
Mhm.
heal?
So that's a great question. I mean, I think we all have things, we're all creative. I think we sometimes don't know where our creativity lies. Maybe we've been channeling it into the wrong places. So I think you use your creativity, like figure out what it is that brings you joy. So for me, it's the kitchen. Maybe for somebody else, that creativity is art. Maybe making time for yourself 20 to 30 minutes a day to tap into that creativity and zone out from some of the stresses of our day-to-day life and get into that creative zone where you're tapping into fun and filling your cup in other ways. So whatever that is, I mean, whether that's photography or something that is like creative or brings you joy, creating that time, because I think we are living in a society where we are so busy that finding that even that 20 to 30 minutes a day, especially as a mom of, littles, you know what that's like, and running a busy career, but there's got to be, a little bit of time for you individually as a person to like carve out every day or every other day, whatever's realistic for your schedule, to like figure out what it is that can just be like a brainless, mindless activity or something that where you get to tap into some creative juices and let that flow. I think the more that you do that over time, you realize if you want to make something like that a career, can you, and how can you? And or maybe it just stays a hobby and you incorporate more play into your life, which I think again, as a society, we're lacking because we're always, bound by these to-do lists that are,
Mhm.
lingering in our day-to-day. I mean, I live by a to-do list, and if I stick to that, I won't have any time left in my day to do something that brings me joy. So,
How did you start experimenting with swaps? Did you just take regular recipes and when it called for flour, you just went to almond flour, and when it called for sugar, you went to honey or monk fruit or whatever?
yeah, so when I was healing my relationship with food and I was home, this all kind of started when I was home on maternity leave. My son Gavin, who's now 10, I mean, infants sleep a lot, so you know what that's like. But so I would go on other people. I remember following or Instagram was so in the beginning, so it was websites, Minimalist Baker, Ambitious Kitchen, all of these peers that are now my peers and personal friends, but I would remember going to their websites and looking at how they would I would take some of their recipes and make them and say, okay, this makes me feel really good. Then I would go to other websites that were more indulgent, and I would make those recipes too. And then exactly what you said, swap. So sometimes I would swap regular sugar for coconut sugar and make two batches of the same exact thing and do taste tests, and then do like kind of like eat the regular one and I'm like, oh, I feel a certain way, eat the other one, I'm like, oh, this is great, and then learn how to like, I then it became this became my therapy. I spent all day nerding out on like ingredients, like as if I was a scientist, but actually I was like a lawyer. Just
But
like,
also, like, but think about this too. What we lack most in our days is presence. So I always
Mhm.
on the show, if be nice people make good choices and be present,
Yes.
because when you're present, that's when you can, hear the things you're supposed to hear, whether they're messages or your inner thoughts, or connect with your gut and say, did that feel good? Did that not feel good? Which is such a gift you're giving your kids, is to actually have them realize that you're supposed to think of how something felt, not just how something tasted. And
Exactly.
and so when you're in the kitchen and you're recreating, in a sense, your relationship with food and healing it, it's really cool to think that you're cooking, you're making things, and you're like, this feels good. This doesn't feel good. It's just interesting. The presence is what we need more of, and that probably is what healed you the most, is having that
Ex
connection.
exactly, and I mean, I think that summarizes it perfectly, because we move so fast in life. We don't take that moment to make those connections sometimes. I mean, I remember, I think, again, being a lawyer taught me so much, really, that like it was such a fast-paced, high-stress environment that when it came to food, I was like a lot of times eating in survival mode. One, my day is so busy that I'm just grabbing and grabbing as I go, or I'm so stressed and I need to feel I need something to comfort me right now, and I'm stressed. And what do I do when I'm stressed? I overdo it. I gorged myself on things because I was so stressed all the time. But like I said, if you do take that 20 to 30 minutes a day to tap into like to be present, it doesn't have to be like me when I was home spending hours in the kitchen learning how to properly develop a recipe or come up with something. It's creating a little more space in your day-to-day life to be more present for those things and build healthy habits. So maybe if you can't give yourself 30 minutes to eat lunch, that's fine. I mean, it's in reality is a lot of us can't do that, but instead of eating on the go or walking through your house with a plate in your hand or snacking, 5 minutes, sit down, eat it, enjoy it, think about it, get up and move on with your day. I think we have to be realistic too, right? Like a lot of
Mhm.
us aren't sitting for 30 minutes for lunch or 30 minutes even for dinner. We're moving pretty fast, but can we take it from like eating on the go? I don't eat in the car. I don't any of those things when my kids want to eat in the car. That to me takes the mindfulness away of like the ritual of eating. Number
Mhm.
one, I don't want a dirty car too, but that's neither here nor there. But it's really about like when it comes to like healthy habits around exercise, around eating, it's the presence that I think builds the healthy habits. And like you said, which is what you talk to your community about too. It's really just that it doesn't have to be a lot. So I think,
Yeah.
a lot of us don't have the luxury of unlimited time to do all the things, but I think we can all sort of find a few minutes a day, a non-negotiable time to give that to yourself because we deserve it.
Well, I know when I was going 48 out of 52 weeks, 7 days a week, 18-hour days, working crazy, crazy, crazy hours, I was reliant on fast food
Yeah,
and I was just eating it nonstop. And I could take advantage of my body at that time because I was
yeah,
23. And I would end up in the hospital with dehydration or like no potassium, no,
yeah,
I was deficient. And I just kept going, going, going. And then I had this incident where I was really sick in a hospital in France after the Cannes Film Festival, and I
yeah.
remember thinking I was gonna die, and I was like, "That's it. I will never compromise my health for anyone or any job ever again," and I made a promise to myself that I would stop and eat a meal like a human, and I did after that. I was like, "If there's no way that I can stop for 30 minutes and eat a meal, there's something wrong with this equation. Everybody
Yes,
should be able to do that." And so I
yes.
did, and it made a big difference. But the other thing that I was thinking as I was hearing you talk and thinking about the Heal Squad and even thinking about Kevin, and he wanted to do this, and I think it might be the moment for him to actually jump in and do this, is if you don't have time to spend hours in the kitchen like you did when you were on maternity leave, which by the way,
Yeah.
it's still not easy because those babies wake up fast.
I
That
do.
break, that little break
I
is
know.
little. You don't have time, but whatever. We'll move past that, Nicole. But the truth is like one of the hobbies you can take up is a cooking class
Mhm.
where you can now start to learn and start to apply and get energy off of because I love to cook. I came from a mom who was, an unofficial chef. Or my grandfather was a chef in Greece. We come from people that cook and we're first generation Greeks. So
Yeah.
that's all we had. We had gardens and we had home cooked meals. I love it. Kevin is not a cook, but for me, it's like I live to like make a meal and make everyone smile or First of all, I'm over complimenting myself first. I'm like, "This is amazing," before they even get a chance, but I love doing it, but I think for somebody who doesn't have any background in it, a cooking class could be a really helpful beginning to this journey of healing your relationship with food and even just healing yourself.
Exactly. Mhm.
Because
Yeah, I
did you have cooking experience before?
I had none. I mean, I would watch my grandma in the kitchen cook some of my Armenian favorites as a child. So I do have memories in the kitchen, cooking with my grandma, watching my mom cook cabbage soup. No, I'm just But, but I was always I always loved food, but I never had any of that, professional culinary experience or anything like that. But again, I spent 15 years of my life being really scared of food and, afraid of what I put into my body because I was afraid that I was gonna gain weight, and so it was really scary for me. So, really, the yoga teacher training, I don't wanna that was one of the reasons why that was really important, not just because I was like the physical part of moving your body, but being in yoga, and it's still a really big part of my life, moving your body into kind of uncomfortable, stretches or whatever it is, and being forced to hold it. And you, y- I was able to stop this preoccupation and this obsessive thinking about food, because when you have an unhealthy relationship with food, whether that's an eating disorder or the disordered eating or something, your mind is constantly thinking about food. So, in order for me to turn off that part of my mind, the yoga was like a moving meditation. It was like I'm sitting in discomfort in my body, holding these poses. I'm not thinking about food for the first time in my life obsessively, and it's like this moving meditation. And then also parts of it, when you're seated and doing a seated meditation, you're forced to like sit in this ick, because I still don't love meditating, but you're kind of forced to sit there. These things I felt, these tools that I found were super helpful. So I think it is, with whatever that you're dealing with in life, whether that's, a unhealthy relationship with food or whatnot, it's trying to find other outlets to help reframe what your brain is thinking, um, move through things differently. I cannot like the power of yoga and meditation, I think, is extremely important, because what with whatever you're doing, you're able to get out of your body and get out of your brain in those ways. So yeah, maybe that for me was like giving myself that gift of like stop the obsessive thoughts, and that was one way to do it. So I think I would always encourage anybody who's going through something challenging, or if you're obsessing, you can't stop thinking about something, the best way to do it, I think, is to find some discomfort in I think it's in your body. You
Yeah, it makes so much sense. We
ways.
just did an episode on with my trainer, and she was talking about yoga and how the isometric poses are reducing your cortisol levels. And I was like, "Oh, I never thought about it like that." And you just gave me another aha moment with yoga, which is that it's supposed to be in the discomfort that you experience this. I was doing it, I'm like, "This is for the birds. I hate this shit."
Yes.
It's so uncomfortable, but I didn't know that that was the point
Yeah.
until even just now. So I really love that. I'm going to stop us right here for 1 second, friends, because I do have to share something. It's been a tough month for the city of LA as the wildfires have left thousands of homes destroyed and thousands of families in need. But LA is strong and the community is even stronger as people have been donating anything they can to help the victims. The timing for Macy's big home sale couldn't be better because right now everyone can grab blankets, sheets, kitchen and dining essentials, and even furniture from your favorite brands for up to 65% off to help fill donation lists that are changing by the minute. Shopping can make an impact, so be sure to pick up some home essentials that perhaps could help someone in need from January 29th through February 14th at a store near you or at Macy's.com. Um, Kev, I'm wondering if the yoga and the cooking class is resonating with you at this moment.
yes, especially the cooking class because I feel like when I have cooked for myself, Um, I don't know. It does make me want to eat healthier. Yeah, there's just something about it. For me, a lot of times I'm a workaholic, and so I eating kind of annoys me and gets in my way. I just want something quick, and so it's a bit of a laziness, I think, if that makes sense. Just so I could throw some like almond butter or peanut butter on some bread and just go. Um, but when I cook, I stop and I'm able to do things. And I'm not very good at it. I do want to take classes, and I want to take them with my daughter so she can learn too. It might be a fun family activity. Also, I'm going to need to learn to cook for her as well. I feel I can handle everything, but the one thing I don't do it with her is the feeding. I do bottle feeding. I can press the button on the machine and make the bottle, and I do that every day. And I can change diapers and do tubs and dress her. But the food is one area that if I didn't have Maria, I'd be lost. Maria handles all that, and it really is developing her taste buds to be healthier, like Maria's were developed to be healthy. And that's another thing we've learned from this show is that if you can form those healthy habits young, you almost don't develop the taste buds for the crap. Um, so yes, I think the cooking thing is great, and I'm very intrigued by the yoga thing. Again, it's just it's just me with time. You might relate with your business. I just want to go. I was even in sports. I hated stretching. I just wanted to go. I wanted to go do it. So I have to learn, but I'm
That's
very
but
open.
everything you're running from is what you're supposed to run to. I've always believed that. And so I'm finding myself, I keep getting the messages that I have to go to yoga and I have to like tame that beast that wants to just go. And I think have maybe we could do it together.
Hmm. Yeah, in some of the malls, we saw some stores that like they have these little cooking schools for
Yeah.
moms and dads and kids, and yeah, I'm in. I want to do it. I feel like it would be fun, and I want to teach her how. My big thing is self reliance, and that's one area I'm weak in. I'm self reliant, but it's with I'll just grab whatever I can and throw it in my mouth. That's not the right thing. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I love the cooking class idea, and I also think, like, if you stock your refrigerator with, like, healthier things that are grab and go. I mean, so I obviously cook for a living, but, I get really tired too. And, I don't do it every day anymore because I'm cooking for developing recipes for the blog, but, sometimes I order these, ready-made meals that I don't have to cook, that I reheat, that are made with very simple ingredients that are ready to go or mix and match. And this is one of the tips that I was going to share earlier is that when I do meal prep for myself, which isn't that often, the thing that is really important is doing like having a couple of proteins, just having a couple of veggies and having a couple different carbs ready to go that are already in your fridge. If you do it on a Sunday or whenever makes sense for you, 1 hour. You don't have to spend all day in your kitchen, but mixing and matching. And I think then having a couple of sauces or different hummus, like from the farmer's market, where you can find all these different flavors and sauces that you can throw on, um, make healthy eating a lot easier and more enjoyable when you're not eating bland food, and also when you're, not ordering takeout all the time. Because again, like you said, like when we're eating food at home, you control the amount of sodium, you control the ingredients that go into the food that you eat, which again are going to make you feel good, you're gonna sleep better. I mean, we do takeout here and there. I know I can't sleep as well at night because I'm feeling uncomfortable and bloated from all the excess sodium and all of those things. I won't deny myself that because again, I don't live a life of restriction. I'm also not unrealistic with, um, you know, the way I live, but, knowing that if you can just have a couple of things in your fridge ready to go that are quality that you can mix and match and throw together and still feel good, I think are, a great way to set yourself up for success with healthy eating.
What are those meal prep musts? And then what are the 5 things you should always have in your fridge?
Yeah. So, in my fridge all the time, I'll start with those. I always have some coconut yogurt. I love Coco June.
Me
Um,
too.
oh,
I just
so good.
discovered it.
Yes.
And it has none of the bad stuff in it. Like
Wait,
Total.
what is that? Because I love the coconut yogurt too. That's one of
No,
my like go-tos.
I
But what
think
Cocoa
I
June?
I told you about it. I bought it. It's called Cocoa June.
Yep.
And what's crazy is we were eating coconut yogurt thinking we were doing better. And then I looked and it had all these bad ingredients in there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But Cocoa June doesn't.
Exactly, it doesn't, and, I think the sweetened ones are correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it might be sweetened with, like, a little bit of coconut sugar or honey or maple. I have to take a look again, but very minimal, and, like, doing that with some berries and some high protein granola in there, or sometimes I am really, really big. My number one favorite food group is protein because for me, I'm very moody. I get hangry if I don't eat enough or if I don't eat often enough. So for me, protein is king. So in something like yogurt, I'm always adding a scoop of protein powder or a granola that has like higher protein content and some good fats, healthy fats in there. So always have those. I have let's see, I always have, proteins ready-made and ready to go. There's a brand called True Story Foods, which makes the pretty much the only deli meats that we'll have in my house. I put in my boys' lunches because the ingredients are very minimal. Or
Oh, I like this.
yeah, or I made today I posted a rotisserie, like a chicken gyro on a little spit that I make in my oven, and it's so easy, but you just shave it off and like I put it in a container, then I've got chicken to mix and match with my different veggies all week. So that's a good one. I always have sauerkraut and something fermented, a great way to add flavor to like your salad bowls especially if you like something tangy and it's really great for your gut. Eggs, I always have eggs on hand, although there's the egg shortage is real. I don't know if it's by you guys, but
Wait, there's a shortage?
there is a shortage. Like I go to the grocery store and there's no eggs in the like at all. I think because of the bird flu or I don't know what's going
Oh
on.
boy.
Anyways, so now I'm like, I stock up on eggs, always high protein stuff. I do cook with butter. I believe in high quality ingredients. I've always got nice salted and unsalted butter for good flavor. Um, I don't skimp on that, and a nice sourdough bread. A nice like, if I don't deprive myself of carbs, but I don't eat them with every single meal just because my body craves protein more. But having nice sourdough bread, good almond butter, and I always have chomps or some other meat stick because, I'm not plant-based. I love, something to snack on like that, and keep myself, sustained.
It's
Yeah.
funny. Athena just said carne the other day. So she loves carne. That's meat in Spanish, guys.
What about? I
But
love this. That kind of cold cut Maria is amazing because again, for me, I'm the grab and go guy. I love if you can have some turkey, some roast beef. To
True
yeah, it's.
Story, you said it's called?
I
Yeah,
love that.
True Story Foods, they make it, and I think, like, for the turkey, and they have turkey and then little pieces too, like chicken, like, chunks, but literally, it's literally just chicken and, it's organic grass-fed chicken and then, I think, like, a little bit of salt on there, but delicious, high quality, organic. It
Where
doesn't
do you get it?
Whole Foods, has it. I've even seen, the turkey one at Costco, so you can buy, like, the bigger packages, but it's great to just kind of grab and go if you're not, like, one that wants to cook and make all your own proteins. Um, if you are, I also subscribe and order from Methodology, which is another fantastic company where you can kind of the idea of, like, buying your veggies and proteins, and they come in glass jars, and you can kind of mix and match during the week. So really, there are some really great options out there now to just really try to make healthy eating easier if you don't have time to meal prep. Not all of us do, but we still want to eat healthy and yeah.
I just found, I think it was marketed to me on Instagram, this new company that will send you the sourdough bread and then you toast it, you bake it in your oven. And I was like,
Oh,
ooh, I got to look into that because that sounds really exciting.
oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's good.
It is?
It is good, but you
Yeah,
have
I'm going to test it.
yeah, test it and see what you think, but again, it's like high quality ingredients. I think for me, that's like been the number one thing. I never feel bad or guilty about anything that I eat. It's really just because, if you focus on the quality of ingredients, you're okay. You're doing great. You're doing better than like you can than that you can ask for yourself. So, yeah.
So, Nicole, you've made your shift in life. It
Mhm.
seems like you're so happy, and you're not just doing Kill Junkie on Instagram. It's a digital platform, and you've
Yeah.
written a book, or was it
Yep.
more?
I have I have written one cookbook and then I'm working on another one behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, what's next?
So at some point there'll be a product line down the road. But I think everything that I do, I'm really, really intentional. So I've never been someone to do something or put something out into the world because my peers around me are doing it or because I think it's the right time. I kind of blossomed with everything a little bit later in life. Like this became my career while, people are coming out of high school and in college, kind of starting these careers doing recipe development or, becoming a content creator. This for me was a little bit later on in life. So I think that I take my time because what I want to put out into the world has to be good. It's got to reflect who I am and my values of quality over quantity, over and even over earning money. I think being true and authentic to who I am and to what I want to give into the world is important. So there will be a product line. What it is going to be, not 100% sure yet, but the next cookbook is going to be a game changer. It's not going to be, first cookbook was all about healing your relationship with food, part recipes, part teaching people how to eat intuitively. This one is going to be strictly purely recipes, but it's going to be geared towards the busy modern family that has a really refined palate, wants to eat well, but we're short on time. We're, you want to grab and go food. You want to have stuff that is ready for you, but tastes good. That's what this book is going to be all about. It's going to solve that problem. And I think it's going to be a really big hit. So yeah, it's just kind of being intentional and being really, really picky about what I put into the world.
I love it. I love your patience because I can feel it. I feel
Yeah.
like the patience where I feel like sometimes people when they, get their start later, there's like this, you know, energy about them where they just feel like everything has to happen now. And I think that that's why you're succeeding and you're resonating with so many people because it's an authentic journey. And I think that's what people like.
Yeah, I've never been like you know, a lot of influencers are, everyone's peddling everything and trying to and I'm like, there's a fine line between, needing to support your family and like really being business savvy, but also at its core, staying true to who you are. So, yeah.
So you're
So,
walking
You know,
that line very well.
yeah.
can I ask one more question, Maria?
Yes.
Do you recognize and honor that, all of the obstacles and if there were dysfunctions with your being raised, how they've now served you?
Absolutely. I think that's so I realize now, this it's so cliche sometimes when I hear the saying that everything happens in your life for a reason. And when I would hear that growing up, I would be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so dumb," because I couldn't see how that would play out in life. And I realized that if I hadn't have gone through my eating disorder and struggled for 15 years of my life, and literally, I mean, I destroyed my body. I mean, I didn't get my period for 15 years, and I thought I'd never be able to have kids one day. And I mean, I was losing hair and the havoc that I created to myself physically, emotionally, lying to myself. And, when I got married to my husband, he didn't know that I was going through this. I mean, essentially, I was lying to him too. These struggles and these things that I went through on a personal level ultimately led me to this new career that I'm in, that I've helped thousands of people along the way by being open about my story. I'm not, and also sharing that I'm human just like we all are. I have struggles. I'm not perfect. I never was. I'm not now. I don't have everything figured out, but I do know that had I not gone through these experiences, I would not have the career that I have today. And my career and my business is very successful, knock on wood, because of all of these things that I've gone through. I would have nobody would have been, making recipes from a random girl on the internet that was just posting things had I not had a compelling story to share, and had I not um, given myself. I mean, I am of service to other people and I still continue to be. And now it's a little bit different because I had my divorce was pretty recent. And when I shared that publicly, which was, really hard, to, over 2 million people and people that have grown up with me and been following my page for 9, almost 10 years, and know Greg is part of my life. And now all of a sudden he's not part of my life, and sharing that, um, again, like, you'd be surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but the number of people that come and messaged me on my Instagram and like, "How do you know?" And what, like, I'm going through the exact same thing. And I think I love my job now, not just creating the recipes, but really humanizing all of the things and the struggles that we all go through, and really helping people know that they're not alone. And for me, that's like the greatest joy in my life. I could never imagine doing anything else. So it's a combination of, yes, I'm creating these recipes and coming into your homes and trying to connect people through food and uniting people through this passion and love that I now have for food, but also not holding myself out to be this, like, perfect person on the internet and that's unrelatable. I want people to know that I'm normal and I have my own problems, and we're all in the same boat together trying to figure out this thing called life together.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for everything that you've shared and everything you're doing. I'm going to make Kevin that skillet pasta.
Yes.
Very excited to make that. Ugh, the ricotta and all of it just looks so good.
Yep.
Although I might try it with like a zucchini pasta or something. This way I can eat it.
Ooh.
But that was going to be my swap, some kind of like lentil pasta or whatever.
Yeah, I did it with chickpea pasta, so it
Yeah.
was pretty good, but yeah.
Oh, that was what the recipe said?
Yeah.
Okay, I just saw the video and I was like, I need to make this.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try with that. But thank you so much, and I hope you'll come on again, guys. I think that she would be great for a Heal Squad event. Anyhow, Nicole, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
friends, I hope you guys enjoyed these episodes with Nicole. Everything you need to know about her is in the description of this episode, and of course, part 1 as well. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present. Like what you just saw? Hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes. Healing is possible, friends, and it happens here. Hey, Heal Squad. We have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.